It's time to stop thinking that the more you talk, the better things will get. In reality, silence often accomplishes more than words ever could. Before you lose your mind, realize that when you stop texting, calling, or pursuing her, you're triggering something deep within her that is powerful and primal. This is a harsh reality that most men overlook. When you stop talking to her, something inside her shifts occurs. Not just a small shift, but a massive shift that you probably won't even expect. Most guys believe that in order to attract a woman's attention, they must continuously be in her face, messaging her and attending to all of her needs. However, in practice, this drives her away. In this video, I'm going to explain exactly what happens when you stop talking to a woman and how that silence can completely change the dynamic of your relationship. You'll learn why disappearing can actually get her more interested, why she'll start pursuing you more, and how you can use this strategy to your advantage. Women crave mystery, space, and more than anything, challenge. By stepping back, you're not being rude or mean. Rather, you're giving her the space to remember what it feels like to want you. If you're sick of constantly being the one pursuing and feeling like you're putting in more than you're receiving, listen up, because what I'm about to share will alter your entire perspective on relationships, power, and attraction. This isn't a game, this is psychology, and this is how attraction functions on a deeper level. Indeed, it's time to let her do the chasing and to quit pursuing and conversing. Continue to watch to learn more. Music, adaptive shift. How come she will instead begin pursuing you? When you stop talking to a woman, you force a shift in the dynamics. Suddenly, you're no longer available, no longer chasing her. This change can send a shockwave through her mental state as it challenges her usual perception of how things are supposed to be the moment you step back. The power balance shifts, and she'll start feeling the tension of not having you around. It's simple psychology. When something is no longer readily available, we want it more. Women, like anyone else, are wired to chase what they can't have. When you're constantly there, responding to her texts, showing up when she needs you, it can lead her to believe you're easy to get. But the moment you pull back and stop feeding into her expectations, you flip the script. You're now the one who's hard to get. You'll find that she's the one reaching out first, texting more often, and even making plans to see you in relationships. People often underestimate the power of absence. Too much attention can make someone feel comfortable, almost complacent. But when you step back, it creates space for her to recognize that you're not always going to be at her beckon. Call that space makes her question your absence and wonder where you've gone. This is when the pursuit starts, and the dynamic goes from you chasing her to her chasing you. Here's a practical example. Let's say you've been texting a woman for a while, making plans to meet up, and then you decide to pull back for a few days. At first, she might not understand why you've changed, but soon enough, she'll wonder why she's suddenly less available, and instead of just being there when she expects you to be, she starts vying for your attention by texting you first, or even reaching out on social media to keep the connection going. This occurs because the shift in dynamic forces her to take the initiative. She senses a void and fills it by pursuing you. In the end, you never have to chase her when you step back. She'll come. Absent. When you stop talking to her, she will start to miss you more than ever because the void you leave behind becomes something she can't ignore. Absence does more than just create silence. It creates a void that she subconsciously wants to fill. Suddenly, the small things you did, like texting her a good morning or calling to check in on her day, or just being there to listen, are noticeably gone. And that absence speaks volumes because it lets her know that you're not always there, and it makes her realize how much she depended on your attention and even your consistency. The problem is that, even if you're constantly there, people frequently don't understand how much they value something until it's gone. It's simple for someone to take you for granted, but by allowing her time to process the effects of your absence, you're forcing her to think back on the times you spent together, the comfort you offered, and the moments you shared. She begins to relive memories in her mind, and each time she is reminded of anything you said or did, it makes her miss you even more. Consider it this way. We frequently want for things that are difficult to have, so when you step back and establish a feeling of mystery, she starts to crave that emotional connection with you. She starts to wonder what you're up to, if you're seeing someone else or if you've moved on. That uncertainty creates a powerful psychological pull. Not knowing drives curiosity, and curiosity soon turns into a longing to have you back in her life, to fill the emotional gap you've left. This effect is intensified. If you were always consistent before, the sudden change from constant presence to absence makes her feel the void even more. It's like an emotional shock that leads her to realize she misses you, not just as someone who was around, but as someone who brought value to her life. The truth is, sometimes giving someone space to miss you is the best way to make them appreciate you. She starts to feel that missing piece, and instead of you reaching out, she'll be the one feeling the need to reconnect. And when she reaches out, you know that the tables have turned and she's missing you in a way that's real. And curiosity undeniable. 3. She'll start wondering where you went when you suddenly step back and stop reaching out. It doesn't go unnoticed. One of the strongest psychological effects of this move is the curiosity it triggers in her mind. People are naturally curious about things that deviate from the norm, and if she's used to having you around or hearing from you regularly, your absence creates a noticeable gap. This isn't just about missing you, it's about her questioning why you're suddenly gone. That why is a powerful driver. It can keep her mind occupied for hours, even days. Imagine this. She goes from seeing your texts or calls frequently to complete silence. Initially, she might brush it off as you being busy or preoccupied, but as more time passes, she'll start wondering, why did he disappear? Did something happen? Is he seeing someone else? She might not say it out loud, but these thoughts will likely start swirling around in her mind. The mystery of your silence creates a mental puzzle, one that she'll be drawn to solve because it affects her directly. This curiosity pulls her back to memories of your interactions, replaying conversations, analyzing your words, your gestures, anything that might give her a hint as to why you suddenly went quiet. She may start interpreting past conversations and moments with you, looking for hidden clues about what might have led to your disappearance. The fear of the unknown follows this overthinking process, which puts you even more front and center in her thoughts than if you had maintained continuous communication. Another strong motivator is not knowing where you are or what you're doing. This creates ambiguity, which makes her fear losing control of the situation worse, since she suddenly knows you're not a blank canvas that she can read at any time. When you remove yourself from the picture, she can't help but wonder what you're up to, which starts a cycle of intrigue. This sense of wonder can gradually develop into something deeper, making her rethink how she values you. She'll start to wonder if she underestimated your role in her life, and if your presence meant more to her than she initially thought. Your absence adds an element of mystery, and that mystery keeps her interested in wondering if you'll be back, what changed, and what you might be doing without her. Nothing piques curiosity like a little distance, a little mystery, and a lot of unanswered questions, so this renewed attraction is fueled by the fact that you're now slightly out of reach. Men frequently make the error of believing that giving a woman your whole attention will win her heart. In reality, though, when you're constantly there, available, and reaching out, you run the risk of losing her respect. A woman may begin to take your attention for granted, or perhaps perceive it as clinging or predictable. Many men are unaware that giving a woman space is a sign of confidence rather than disinterest. If you want her to genuinely value you, you may need to take a step back and allow her to sense your absence. By taking a step back, you give her an opportunity to consider what your presence truly means to her. It's easy to underestimate the value of something that is constant, but when it's absent, its true worth becomes evident. What's more valuable is something that's always within reach, or something that's just a little bit out of reach. Many men miss out on this because they don't let women to reach her own conclusions. She can't sense your natural attraction if you're always forcing yourself into her life. By stepping back, you're subtly demonstrating to her that you're not reliant on her attention for your sense of worth, that you have life goals and ambitions outside of the relationship, and that you won't compromise your sense of self. This isn't just attractive. Giving her space isn't about playing games or manipulating her. It's about respecting her needs and individuality as well as yourself. Magnetic men frequently feel compelled to take charge of an event or pursue a lady, particularly if she appears to be slipping away. But here is some harsh reality. You don't need to be in her space all the time to have a meaningful connection. In fact, letting her miss you is what might ignite those deeper sentiments of attachment and value. Chasing only makes her feel rushed, and that pressure can push her farther away. The difficulty for many men is realizing that letting her take a step back doesn't mean you're losing ground. Rather, it means you're giving her the opportunity to think things through and realize what she might lose without you. She begins to value the time she does have with you more because she knows it's not guaranteed. And this strengthens the bond, fosters greater respect, and creates a more sincere connection. So, here's the wake-up call. Quit being so accessible that she is unable to recognize your value. Step back, give her room, and let her feel the impact of your absence. She'll value you more when she has to wonder if you'll even be there next time, and in doing so, you'll find a balance between connection and independence, one that she's far more likely to appreciate. 5. She'll realize she took you for granted when you pull back and let silence fill the space where your attention once was. Something powerful happens. She begins to notice the absence, and in that emptiness the reality hits. She took you for granted. Sometimes people only understand the true value of someone's presence when it's no longer there in relationships. It's easy for one side to start expecting constant attention, feeling secure that the other person will always be around. When you step back, you break that assumption, giving her a reason to reflect on the dynamic that's been there all along. The thing is, many men don't realize their own worth. They stay in a constant cycle of overgiving and overreaching, often trying to prove themselves, thinking that effort alone will earn respect. But unfortunately, that's rarely how it works when you're always available. The other person can get too comfortable, subconsciously assuming that no matter what you'll be there. This comfort can lead to taking things for granted. By taking a step back, you disrupt that cycle and make her question. If she truly valued you enough in the gap your absence leaves, she'll likely start to replay moments you shared, the laughter, support, and connection you brought. And as she reflects, she'll come face to face with the realization that she took it all too lightly. Many people don't see the reality of a person's worth until they start missing them. She'll begin to realize that your patience, understanding, and presence were actually rare gifts, not something to be dismissed or ignored. It's important to know that this isn't about manipulation or trying to make her feel guilty. It's about respect for yourself and your own boundaries. By taking a step back, you show her that you won't let yourself be underappreciated and offer her the chance to understand that relationships need reciprocal respect. Here's the lesson. Someone who appreciates your presence should never treat you like a mere choice. Taking a step back can sometimes be the best way to remind her of what she stands to lose. By doing this, you're setting a standard and telling her that if you don't value what I bring to the table, you risk losing it altogether. Let her realize this on her own. When she does, she'll realize the true value of having you around, and if she does, she'll return with a new appreciation for you, and that changes. Take away everything. This is the reality that most people won't tell you. If you're constantly there, you're just a convenience and not worth anything. I want to hear from you. Have you ever been this way? If so, leave a comment below and share your thoughts. I'll personally reach out to connect with you and have a real conversation about this. Thank you for watching. As usual, this is the Stoic approach to life. The moment you step back and stop chasing is the moment she'll realize your worth. Don't waste your time chasing validation. Let her wonder. Let her miss you, and let her regret taking you for granted.